Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Hi Rogers, can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess, yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes it can, although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak, either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be no more.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digital.
Looking for a pair of shoes? Les Up Stores has a wide range of selection for unisex footwear. We have the best quality of all brands at pocket-friendly prices and we make deliveries countrywide. Just place your order or reach us on 0772 08 0090. You can also check up at Les Up Stores on all our social media platforms. Les Up, craft your own footprints.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Looking for a pair of shoes? Les Up Stores has a wide range of selection for unisex footwear. We have the best quality of all brands at pocket-friendly prices and we make deliveries countrywide. Just place your order or reach us on 0772 08 0090. You can also check up at Les Up Stores on all our social media platforms. Les Up, craft your own footprints.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Hi Rogers, can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess, yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes it can, although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Kulikayo okyali ku Digital TV tuli musawa yaffe ey'okubiri ng'ate esaawa esembayo wano ku Digital TV. Nze Edgar Matthew Karuhanga ndi ne munnamateeka okuva mu kkooti enkulu ng'ate y'omu ku bannamateeka aba retired Kano Dr. Kiza Besigye excuse me, omwami Counsel Kato Tumusiime. Tubadde tukyayogera ku nsonga za bail era we tugeredde mu kuwummulamu nga Counsel twogera ku tteeka eppya liwalabye mu mawulire. Wagambye Kirowa Kiwanuka Attorney General yali litaddemu. Nze nkyalowooza nti bibungeesebwa naye biki bino ebibungeesebwa?
Kituufu nga bwe nkugambye byayita mawulire print ne babifuluma. Me have had an opportunity to read about that amendment, the proposed amendment.
Yes, exactly.
Ne Prime Minister yavaayo n'agamba it's cleared to be tabled before Parliament. Ate kati wayita mmeka ng'akasiimo kazze. Ate abaasooka okukawulira n'okukayisa bagamba ekigendererwa kyakubayambako okwanguya okuyisaamu eyo amendment ya EPDF Act.
Naye nga amendment yerabikako bulungi.
Ate erabikako bulungi etya. Because like I said somewhere before, because we have people that are just unreasonable in what they want to do. People that just want to do things for the sake of doing them without considering the consequences that they are going to bring, is one of the challenges that they have faced as a country in that parliament as a legislative body.
Yes, sir.
Nti bagenda kuyisa eyo bill today, the following day or before the week ends ojja kutulaga ku constitutional court nga tuchallenging because it will not have from the proposed amendments, they have not followed the guidance of the Supreme Court in their ruling in the Kavazguruka case. Two, that whatever they are bringing wants to contradict the provisions of the Constitution, and therefore it will be unconstitutional. That they must, maybe the best thing to help them is to amend the Constitution against the retrospective legislation. Or to legislate things, okuyisa amateeka ng'ekigendererwa kyago kyakusatulula oba okuyungulira ensalawo za kkooti ez'emabega. Kkooti bw'eba esazzeewo ensala yaayo esigala ng'erina okukola ne bw'oba okoze etteeka terina kukomawo ate erisazeemu kkooti kye yasalawo.
Ensalawo ya kkooti esigala ekola
nti amateeka ge muba mukoze kati tegajja kuddayo emabega gasazeemu. Kyekyo kyentegeeza.
But then that means government yeba tegwekubye.
Ate kati ejja kuba egwekubye kubanga singa ebyo byonna baabiraba dda bandibadde bakola ebirina okukolebwa. Nti amateeka gonna ge tukolagana bandibadde gagendererwamu okukola development in the country, good governance, the people, the laws to be respected in the country. They must first be appreciated by the people. They must be aligning with the wishes of the people. Bichi byetwagala ng'abantu.
Yes.
Bichi byetwagala ng'abantu.
Chovola mu nsonga
eteeka abantu nga balyagadde tojja na kumenyeka kuliteekeza mu nkola. Like everybody would be interested.
You give me a case of the anti-homosexuality bill that allegedly most of the people were aligning with.
Yes,
ila kyakwangwira okuliteeka mu nkola.
Like you don't even need to waste a lot of time to sensitize people against that law because some people believe in it. Okay, that's among the qualifications of a good law, it must be accepted, publicly accepted by the people, universally applicable among the people, regardless of the race, political parties, affiliations, gender, religion. They must be taking us under as a law. Okay, that if the law is not accepted by the people, then that's not law. Because as we know, laws are also like human beings. They grow, they keep growing. That the laws we have in this country, some of them as old as 1950, 54, but they are still applicable now. That's why we find the challenge that even most of people don't know how to deal with them. Need to gain them mass.
Yes, sir.
What they intend to make in the amendments, I believe the best thing to do is start with the composition of the General Court Martial. Okay, start with the who should be reading that General Court Martial.
Ensonga Supreme Court yayogerako eyo.
Era yakikatiriza konyo nesabara muzina.
Ya court siyebwe buzibu naye mutuseeko abantu abayina
competence abamanyi kye balina okukola mu mateeka. You have seen a submit law in that General Court Martial and everybody is looking at you, and it's good that now this has been televised everywhere. You saw even where the chairman was holding his head and saying, but what is this? But he's the same man who is going to give a ruling. Secondly, they only appoint you as a chairman of or as a member of the General Court Martial for 1 year. So your term is not guaranteed. Who is the appointing authority? Is the president. The president, who still doubles as a politician in this country, heading a political party, who is going to join the next elections. Okay? That your tenure of office is not guaranteed. Therefore, you are not a judicial officer. Because they know their tenure of office is guaranteed. They don't work for favor. Most of them don't work for favors. It is true that some work
never
for
never
favors.
Acting judge.
Yes, but that is the worst thing we have ever had. That ensonga ya acting judge oba omulamuzi bwe bataddewo kubanga akola naye nga tebanamuconfirming is one of the biggest problems that we have in this country. If you look at how it all started, its basis nti enfuga y'amatwale, the colonialists bwe baali bava mu ggwanga lino, we had less people to take up positions as judges. What they would do, because we had a lot of cases going on, they would just look for Ugandans or Africans that had qualified to be lawyers, people that had experience as lawyers, people that understood the law, and then they would appoint them to just hold those offices for a few time as we wait for the replacement. Because the white judges had left, and we had a vacuum, we couldn't let it be. That's how this thing of acting judges started. Yes, but now, because we have been used to copy and paste, so we still believe that in this era, when we have all qualified people to be judges and magistrates, we still have people in acting capacities. What does it take for you to confirm a person to be a judge if they have all the qualification as provided for under the law? Nti gwe bakuteekako nga acting judge ngono omulamuzikania gwe bateekako mu musango gwa Besigye, you will do all things to favor the regime, you will do all things to favor the appointing authority so that you can be appointed or confirmed as a judge. Nti byonna byogenda okukola bijja kuba bisanyusa oli alonda, oli akuza, oli agabe before. Nti you will not be independent, and this is something that we are waiting for also the Supreme Court to make a ruling against, a judgment against. Because if the Constitutional Court said acting judges also give acting judgments, and therefore whatever business they are doing is in an acting capacity and therefore cannot be confirmed, what does it take the Supreme Court to give a judgment and also confirm that decision? The crisis in this country is not only limited to politics, but also the judiciary is under trial.
Even the lawyers, you are in a crisis. You have what you call a radical new bar, right? This morning, I woke up to news that the personal assistant to the radicalist, the president, Semakade, has actually also resigned his job. Semakade has been in the middle of controversy from the time he took office, even up to today. In fact, he has been in exile. Still is.
Semakade is not in exile. I should say that. He's not in exile. He's just on official duties. He's doing the duties.
Is he running away from
provided to him by the Uganda Law Society. He's doing the Law Society.
But there is an arrest warrant for that gentleman.
The arrest warrant was even stayed by the Uganda Road Magistrate Court. I argued it to some people and said that because of excitement, because of attention, the magistrate just was very, very, very happy to issue that order. But it is not the detail. He has no jurisdiction to issue an international arrest warrant, the red flag they are talking about. How do these things come into play? That you, a magistrate, will make an order, the order that will be enforced by the Interpol, so that they can arrest you, Edgar, or any other person outside this country. Look at the nature of the offenses. These are some of the things now that the Interpol looks at. Okay, that they must qualify for one to be issued a red alert. That when Edgar tries to enter Uganda, then there will be a red alert notice, but not issued by a magistrate. First of all, they depend on which kind of an offense is charged against you. Was this an international offense? Molesting a person of the DPP? Or is it an international offense? No, it is not. This is not an offense. That is
nekibaluwa ekimukwata wano ekiri mu ggwanga wennyini va kucha Interpol mwakiplayinze nnyo ekya Interpol. This offense is not internationally recognized. Okay? It is not an offense that wants to antagonize the security of this country. It is not an offense that puts the world at threat, that if President Semakade goes to Kenya, goes to Germany, then the countries must be on threat because this is a person with threats. No. This is an issue that was politicized here. That the president has audacity, the president of this country, to go on national TV and abuse people, call them fools, call them stupid, call them whatever kind of words. You could not even ministers have that audacity to call them pigs and call them whatever, and nobody is talking about them. But when Edgar, when President Semakade goes and also gives his opinion about you, who has the Counsel Kato Tumusiime
because somebody
because you can pass on the message without actually using foul language.
Because if somebody says something that you don't believe in, then you think that see, some things will remain facts. Some things will remain facts. That we have an office of the DPP that has been used by politicians, that has just been stepped on. It is just a rubber stamp. It has now become as a conveying belt, a conveyor belt, that whatever is dumped on, they just swindle it to the courts of law. How many cases have failed to be ignited because they were sanctioned by the DPP? How many? You have seen all these cases of common nuisance. As funny as it is, as it can sound, that office is also common nuisance of the DPP. And therefore, it has failed this country in the criminal system of the country, and therefore, they have only resorted to exciting the magistrates to start issue now international arrest warrants, which is never.
But who understands the law in this country? 15 minutes past 9 a.m. I am with Counsel Kato Tumusiime, one of the lawyers of retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye. Still talking about opposition. Let me not look at it in Uganda, but East Africa. Everywhere there is a bit of challenge, especially in Tanzania. You know what is happening there. We know what is happening in DR Congo with the return of Joseph Kabila. Then when you look at most of these East African countries, the opposition bonna bali mu mabega mitayimbwa wabali mukudduka. We Rwanda terina ayogera n'omu. Kenya Rigathi Gachagua naye bamujjawo. What is it with the modus operandi, especially when it comes to the democracy of East Africa?
East African democracy is just under siege. That's a word I can use. It's under siege. But the problem we have in this East Africa is that we have a person who is taken as a godfather of East Africa. That is our president, because he's the longest serving president in the region, East African region. Unlike other countries, Uganda is the country that has had a president who is in power for now over 40 years. Okay?
Yes.
That his experiences are now being copied and pasted by these other presidents, because most of these presidents have openly on international ceremonies hailed him as the godfather of this country, as the blessing
all of them
that
respect
we have had
Museveni.
in East Africa.
They respect Museveni.
And therefore, they are studying his political books, studying his political stay, what has enabled him rule Uganda for over 40 years. He has been against every other opposition politician who comes in to criticize him politically and openly. What has he done is to put them in jail and cells, and the charges mostly preferred against them is treason. Okay, has been his trick. He has mastered that art, and therefore the rest of the people, for them to be able to be in power for all those years as well, they have to follow the tricks used by President Museveni. That in Tanzania, Tundu Lissu is also now facing treason charges. But the funniest bit of it is that now Tundu Lissu in the prison where he was remanded, now his friends and relatives couldn't find him. So his whereabouts are unexplainable. These are things that are happening in this country. That Ugandan MPs, security agencies will find that Kato's existence in Kenya is a problem to Uganda, and they will just cross border without following any international laws or expedition measures to come and bring you, but they will just go abduct you and bring you here. If you go to DRC, the same story. If you go to Rwanda, the same story. And we have the East African community. What are they saying about this?
Because it's an ESC open border policy.
Yeah, what are they talking about? Is that in South Sudan, Vice President who is in opposition is now under arrest for how many months?
Yes.
You get that the person who would be now chairing the East African community is also there, and because they have this fear of the Mkuru Tasebia and whatever they want to say, because they all believe and they want the support of President Museveni, so they have to copy his tricks.
And he has the capacity.
Nobody has to condemn whatever actions they are doing. That's the challenge we are facing. That we have not embraced democracy. A democracy we have in East Africa is the democracy on paper, democracy in books, and when they invite President Museveni to give any speech, he will speak about the democracy as if he's the master, as if he practices one, as if he has championed it, as if he's a good and one of the best examples about the democracy. And sometimes he has said nobody can educate him about the democracy. Yes. But you look at what the democracy is preaching and also serving, you wonder which kind of democracy he understands. That it has not only been left to democracy, but also the violation of human rights. It's at stake every day. It keeps, getting annoying every day.
But even as you argue, President Museveni still wields a lot of influence in East Africa. He has armies in South Sudan, he has armies in Congo.
He uses fear. That is not influence and respect. No, it's
power. A man has power. If a man can influence Somalia, he's influencing the security of the region, he's influencing the security of other regions. We are in West Africa also. One would say, ngawe ye itasava lwanyamanya galina. Respect yeyo jebamuwano okutia.
I wanted to say something, but I remembered. And I said I should maybe keep quiet about it. But to say that you cannot be there claiming to be the most powerful in this East African region when you have failed yourself in this small Kampala as it is. Small Kampala as it is. If you have read the police report that came out last year and how many insecurity-related cases that have been visibly seen in this country, then you wonder which kind of security you are promoting in the other country if you have failed to guard your own people in Uganda. Kampala itself, okay? Which kind of security are you extending to Somalia? As if, but you see, you can never give what you don't have. If you have failed at the security level in your own country, now which other security expertise are you taking to the rest of the country? Start with your own family so that we copy from it. If now Rwanda comes and says, yes, we are the masters of the security, we are the masters maybe of stability in this region, we can say yes.
But in Rwanda it's actually different.
Not in Uganda.
When you go to Rwanda for an event, an occasion, for example, there is a match, Nambole, here you will see a lot of security deployed everywhere. In Rwanda you won't see. You will see the normal security you met before the match started. The same security. People don't have guns. They're like 6 soldiers or 6 policemen. I have had friends who come from different countries and they reach here and they wonder to even see a security guard holding a gun, moving and walking. No, there are guns literally everywhere. As Ramshakorda they are, as hungry they are, they can be visibly seen and then they say, please, how do you manage this country at this level? You get? And you see, it calls a road. That in this country now,
Holding a gun.
And when there was
like
what is security? Is security holding a gun? Because that means Rwanda is insecure when they have 6 soldiers or 6 policemen manning a full Amahoro stadium that has over 60,000 or 40,000 people. But it is being ruled by the same security that is always there. And this I have seen it firsthand.
Yeah, I've also seen it, I've witnessed it, that you reach a country and you leave without seeing a gun. I've been in so many countries now, but it's on rare occasions that you will see people on the streets holding guns.
Exactly.
And you will wonder, which country do I come from?
Uganda. Counsel, let's get to the politics happening in the country. I have news that is surprising to Ugandans. Not bad, but surprising. There are some MPs that are not coming back. Actually, they are choosing not to come back. That is the news. Because oftentimes we know pasoka kuva mu office. Incumbent aba kuda. Sadeko Mohammed is not coming back Kampala Central. Evelyn Anita is not coming back in Koboko. Can we say our politics are starting to mature?
We have had so many people that have just left politics in that. Okay? People that were at the helm of, in top positions in this country. It's not the first time. Including Honorable Ntiza, the most recent. Former leader of opposition, as powerful and strong as she was, she said, no, I'm not coming back to parliament. Okay? And they are not the first people.
After 3 terms.
They are not the first people. But what does this now call to us? That maturity, sometimes you don't need to be forced out. But if even Anita says she's not coming back, she lost the election.
And she's young.
She lost the election. Is she leaving because she is in power? She's not representing the people in her municipality. She's not. She was bet hands down by Dr. Ayume. Okay? So now, she's just trying maybe to win sympathy of the people, and she's not coming back to politics. She lost. And she's a loser by that fact. Now, maybe the person to talk about is like Mohamed Nsereko. Mohamed Nsereko has played his politics in Kampala very well. But I believe that, you see, when you come to service, when you come in any position, you have your ambitions, you set your goals, you know, this is what I want to achieve. There are 2 things involved usually. That either you have achieved whatever you set, or you have failed to achieve, and therefore you don't find any other reason for you to continue coming back to represent the people because you have failed them. That's one. If you have successfully achieved to represent them, then there is nothing new you are going to add, but to retire a peaceful man and also enjoy your life. Toina kulinda abantu basoke bakuchawe oliyoko begobeko oliyoko deuwo oumule. You have to respect them.
People are receiving $10,000 every month in this country, in this economy. So I'm talking about the lucrativeness of the business itself. The business of politics.
But when you reach home in your bedroom, you sleep. There's that kind of sense that comes into your head, and you reflect and say, surely do I deserve this 100,000 you're talking about, or this? Am I really doing what I am supposed to do? You have that self-conviction in you. And when you feel you cannot hold it anymore, the only option you have is just to leave politics and go home. Enjoy and live a happy man. Yes. But to say that this should be very lively to very many. And I feel sad when people just want to come and quote, may he so rest in peace, Nelson Mandela. That we emulate Nelson Mandela, but have you done what he did? He only ruled, even when he was loved by almost everybody in South Africa, he said, but I have served what I can. Let me leave the rest also start from there. If we emulate that, then we would have nothing to lose. We would be reasonable people.
But we don't see that even in the opposition that we call democratic. All of them have been in those positions for 20, 25 years.
That's true. That's true. And there are people who say that President Museveni had made them
Yes.
Most of them are saying it. But maybe not to be judgmental. Not to be judgmental. Some people believe that in their different positions, then that's when they have the power. That's when they have the voice.
Exactly.
Amplified. Some have that kind of feeling. And it is true that in this country, not a mere Kato will just come and go in a public space, a public gathering, and then he will be given a microphone to say a word of wisdom. But that LOC1 chairman in your own village, they will come to give a speech when you are dead. for example, or when I am dead, even when they did not know anything about you,
Yeah.
that a minister will come from Kampala and they want to talk about Kato that they have never met, just because Kato comes from a family maybe that is viewed and influential in this country. And I've said this so many times that in my will, no politician will say a word about me that he's representing the government. The government that has failed us. Unless people or leaders that come from my area, people that have also influenced my life and also done something. But you find somebody who has died because they have failed to buy paracetamol in a government hospital for 10,000. But when they die, then the government shall send 20 million as condolence message. It is just
then how best do you advise them to stay relevant even out of politics? Because one would say, I wield my relevance when I'm in that office.
Do good. Do what you want to be done to you. That's when we shall live peacefully in this country. And believe, also know that whatever we are fighting for in this country, we did not come with anything.
ziri 28 zezagaita ku ssaawa 3 tuli mu dakiika zaffe ezisembayo tube nga tuva ku show yaffe ey'olunaku olwaleero olunaku lwa Easter Monday. Happy Easter eri gwe atwekuumiddeko olunaku luno olwaleero. Nze Edgar Karuhanga okubanga nkuweereza Counsel, tudde ku miliyoni 10 ez'ababaka ze baafunye. I don't know why you're even laughing at their 100 million. MPs are 100 million richer. What you call being corrupted, I think President is saying, ababaka kabekubeka enfuufu babeera debt burdens nyingi beetaagamu ssente zino. And as a president, I've given you 100 million each. And the other voice I was hearing from a person who was in that meeting, who confirmed to be in the meeting that passed that money, Lydia Wanyoto, akulembera Women's League mu NRM. Yagambye buli mubaka yafuna miliyoni 10 naye president yazibawa mutima mubi. Azibawa mulemu beera compromised okubba the budget ng'ebyo bitwadde tulaba nti gwe genda oyise budget ng'ekikumi ky'olredde mu ekiri. You would not even be needed to tempt you. We won't be tempted to steal from the national budget. What do you think about that?
That's what Lydia said, but the president came and confirmed why. He gave them money to go and monitor government programs. Okay? You see, if you want to give people money, we shall not stop you as President Museveni, because you have stolen a lot, you have had a lot of money. Pick from your cows in Ruachitura or anywhere, sell them, donate that money. Nobody will come to complain that you have given people money from your own money, not the taxpayers' money. You cannot go withdraw money from the taxpayers' money and you want to dish it just like that. Unreasonable in that sense. Don't we have priorities that must be funded by that money? Do you know how many schools 100 million can build in a constituency that you're just teaching to one person? Do you know that the PDM funds is 100 million per parish? Do you know that money is refunded back? You have to pay it back. Do you know that this 100 million that has been got from the from this supplementary budget that was passed will not be refunded? You see, giving money is not bad. Even Edgar here, when I feel happy and I have some money, I have no problem to give you.
Yes,
okay?
Sir, yes, sir.
But with what intention am I giving you that money? That's where the problem comes in. That you cannot come to give money to an MP to go and follow up, to go and supervise the government programs, okay? Because that's one of his mandates, to go and supervise, see that the implementation of the government program is in progress. That's why we pay them that hefty sum of money that they earn at the end of the month, okay? On top of that, we even add fuel contributions and allowances per DM for them to go back to their villages and constituency to monitor the government programs. Why do we have to even add them 100 million? For what? What best new thing that they have done that they deserve to earn this money?
You talk about where the money comes from. How sure are you that the money is from you?
From who? It is from the taxpayers' money. Where did they get it from? After passing a supplementary, another 100 million came in at play. Okay, that even people were bragging about it that they are now 100 million richer than everybody, including.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, but to say, Edgar, me, I am only looking at the intention why that money was given and why at this time, when the country is crippling with this debt burden that is on us as we speak today, on every Ugandan's head, including you, there is a 2.3 million as a debt. You can imagine what have you benefited from this government to be having that debt burden on your head, moving with it every other single day. That I now reach a conclusion to agree that most people say that this government has just drained us to the extreme, that we are just left to see things happen by God's grace and by miracles. Okay, because the people we sent to represent us, the people we sent to fight for us, the people we sent to plead for us, at least from the person that has been ruling us for 40 years, he has failed us. They have also failed us. They are also looking at it as an eating opportunity.
Nina bakugamba council nze mbadde ngenda mu parliament nakuwa ezizo because nawe okumpa akalulu nyina kuwa zange. So if this person has given you their money, they don't owe you any allegiance really at the end of the day, because this is business. If I've invested 1.3 billion, I was looking at the budget of Stella Nyazi in the previous elections, her budget was 1.3 billion. Izusene nyingi muganda wange. Yeah, chitufu. So naye hapa tugamembu na yete ba business.
Chitufu sente nyingi naye ekisinzo kutono na fenna ngeggwanga era n'abakulembeze baffe kiri nti we have not taken politics as a job, as a business, that you look at how much will I get at the end of it all. That instead of getting that 1.3 billion to invest it in a business, do you know how much money you will be earning on a monthly basis as profits from the business? But because people have taken politics as an opportunity for them to be able to steal, to cheat, to do all this kind of thing, to do all these dubious deals, that they feel that investing this 1.3 or 1.5 billion in a business, for example, a trading business, you have wasted that money. Invest it in politics so that you can be able to steal more and more. Okay? That we no longer take politics as serving the people. And now I agree with the people who feel that serving as a member of parliament should be a voluntary job. You volunteer to come and serve your people because you are patriotic, because you love your country, because you love to represent your people, because you have a root. You desire to see this country. Katubateke parliament nze nesimire kato ngambe kanveyo ngene nchikirira abantu.
Bagenda ku emtwalo 7 omwezi.
Sizagala. Njateka munezange because I am fighting for the good. I want to be there and monitor government programs at my own cost, do legislation at my own cost, do appropriation at my own cost. That is service beyond self. That is patriotism. That because all these things that I am doing for my country, it is out of love, not out of the money that I'm going to be paid, not out of excitement, not out of the investment I made, not out of the salary that I will get at the end of it all. I sometimes look back when the scorecards of parliament come out and you find an MP being in that in parliament with that opportunity, and they have 0 times they have stood up to make any statement on the floor of parliament.
Yes.
And they are paid. And we are all okay with that, and it is normal.
Banji, I tell you, 1 minute.
That's what I'm talking about, that if we have people that are volunteering to serve this country at the legislative level, okay, then we would have people with sense that they have to submit at the floor of parliament. We have people with good minds to represent us, not people that go there just to earn a living.
Let's look at what the president is saying in defense of this money. Opposition gets money from the foreign donors.
If there is any person that has benefited from foreign funding, is President Museveni. Including back then when he was in NRA,
yes,
fighting the regime.
He got support from the West, yes. He got support from Libya.
And nobody has stopped him. Even up to today, he's still getting donations from the foreign countries. Because when they go outside and get donations or get any other support from the foreign countries, I am not directly affected as a taxpayer. Okay? Maybe that money came for a reason and they have to serve that purpose of the money. But this money should be, I'm saying, renovating a road here in Kampala, making the drainage systems in Kampala, building a school in my home village, building a hospital in your village, Edgar, making things work in a different way. Invest in infrastructure. This money would make a contribution of buying equipment that we need in our medical hospitals, and medical centers. This money would just cut the cost of us lifting an MP to go to Kenya to get the treatment of a minor offense. Okay? Sente sigare one. The sente mchifo chokuzisasanya mbabaka baziteke munsawo zabwe. Muziteke yo zikole emirimu gyaffe. Do service delivery. That's all we all demand for. Nti todda ate kuleeta ebyokwekwasa nti bano bazifuna mu bazungu. Nawe genda yo zifune ezo obogaba. Togaba zaffe wano. Okay? Zo tujjeemu mu musolo. The rate at which we pay taxes here is even worrying, considering what we benefit from this. Invest this money.
Direct taxpayers temuli banji. Abasiga mwekweka mu indirect taxes mungula sabuni.
Tuli banji ate zitunyigiriza nnyo. Okay? But invest in that money instead of giving it out freely. That if we have good working health centers and health systems, if we have good education, if we have and have created employment opportunities, this MP doesn't need that 100 million for what?
So I think
because if he falls sick, he will just run to Chirudu.
But he has 40 million.
He will run to Kambuga.
How do you survive? How do you go to hospital?
He will run to Kambuga and get treatment. This is why does he need this 100 million?
Counsel that buli muluka bagwa 100 million.
Yes,
buli mubaka yafunye 100 million. Just go making a sense. Omuntu amenga decision wetyo mbubongo mu maso ma psychology mulimba na mateeka. Chechibira mabega obongo bw'omuntu atyo. Just generally, even if it wasn't the person.
Generally, it is just they want to corrupt your head. If somebody wants something from you now, they have to corrupt your head mentally, psychologically. Now you will be too excited with this 100 million. Naba mutabamanyi kyakuzikozesa. Kubanga public has come out to say no, this money shouldn't have been accepted by you. Naba mbazeyo basaininga nga bazegana. Okitegera that you are still confused with that 100 million. And somebody will now come with the proposal and say, but I gave you 100, now pass this bill. That's why you will see the eye, even when the eyes are not coming out of...
Bayise bintu kati bamanyi na kumanya budget.
Olusinga bamanyi, naye olw'okuba baali beetaageeza ekikumi oba tebaagala babazibasabe bazibajjeko, they have to pass it for the sake of it. That this is one of the form of manipulation that we have ever had. That they have to give you money first. Sometimes they know what it is meant for, sometimes they don't.
Okay, Counsel, there is something I know privy to this information as a journalist, that even in passing, in voting for the members of the Iyala Parliament, NRM was paid its MPs. Okulonda ba MP bawe mu Iyala.
But they have
and
been
another,
paid.
that's what I'm saying. So
times.
What does it speak of a government that has to pay its own people to vote it? Like, olinga awamu tabani wo okwagala n'omusasula. Do you understand what I'm saying?
It comes in that sense that you see when people lose trust in you, now you have to resort yourself to buying them. Wegule ku bantu, like they have to like you because of something that you give them. That people will now resort to giving you gifts small. So that whenever I need to be hosted at the TikTok, I have to first send Edige 20,000 on his mobile money. Not that whatever I come here to say is sensible or you like it, or you believe that there is something I have to preach to the government
Yes, sir.
or to the public, but there is something I have given you, and now you have to keep recalling me every other day. You can even decide to host me on a daily basis as if I own this show. Okay?
Yes,
Just
sir.
because there is something I always give you. And this is what I said, that it is corrupting your mind. That today you will host me, I give you 20,000 for it. I'm not going to give you, but I'm just giving this as an example.
Yes, sir.
That tomorrow when you feel you need 20,000, now you look at the guest you have ever hosted who has ever given you that money, and you will just make a call to Kato. Okay?
Yeah.
Not that Kato
So that
likes
means
you,
without
but because
Kato's
there
money-
is a benefit they want from you.
So that means without Kato's money, Kato does not have anything
There
to
is
say.
nothing to say. Okay? There is nothing to say. If you believe you have presented credible candidates that have good intentions of this country, why would you buy an MP at his level with how much they earn to vote for a other member from your ruling party? Just simple logic. Why? If you are a credible candidate, you have good intentions of the people to represent in parliament, why would you start giving out 2,000 to each person to vote you? You have lost confidence in yourself. You don't even trust yourself, but because you trust your money, and that's what you want to use to come into parliament and represent the people.
But if I
It's
have my
just
money,
simple, and
if I have money,
it
I
goes
come.
without saying. It goes without saying that because you cannot even sell your ideas, because you don't have even a manifesto to sell to the people, you resort to buying them off.
Tokubye nnyo.
Ate sige mazima.
Tugende mu political parties, olese manifesto. Tugende mu political parties. Party gy'oyogerako ewezezza abalonzi kati milioni 18. Ate bali digitalized. That's
Okay,
the uniqueness about this. And it looks like the only political party that is gearing up for 2026, that is ready. All other political parties seem to have some cracks and divisions. Comment on NRM and its preparation.
That political party came up in the recently held by-elections in Kawempe. Came up and said it had how many? 22,000 something?
Abalonzi.
Hey. Sibe baine Kawempe, how many votes did they get?
Bafuna kanaana.
They no longer excite us. You see, some people bring this information to excite the public. Ediga oba omukadde wange ali mu kyalo alowooza nti abainarembe bangi ennyo. But when it comes to the ballot and the results that are out, including the cheating that happens, you look for the numbers nezibula.
Omusajja alina ababaka 341.
Abayagala
Numbers.
tetuganye.
That means he has
Ababaka
340 constituencies.
But you don't need to write to us that you have how many registered voters electronically. Bagiye barete mu Kampala oba bateke wantu tubarabe. You get? Things should not excite us anymore. Ikawempe watu gabo ine emitwaro 22 gy'abalonzi nojayo bululu kanaana. So where does
Tomunenya voter turn up generally voter turn up mu Kawempe yali 14%. Abantu 86 tebajja kulonda. So ayina valid reason osanga abange balimu aba batajja. But Vandene Chato,
So, if we
we have
cannot
said
believe that small margin.
no, we've said this party has manufactured numbers, but I've brought you a statistic of 341 constituencies. Abo bangi nnyo.
It happens this
No,
way.
let's even look at the
It happens
Muluka, the
this way,
village.
Edgar. Now
Every
let me
village,
tell you.
NRM has 7 people at
I
least.
am not saying they don't have, they have. Let me tell you how it all happens. I was recently called, I think in the last elections, that my name had appeared in the yellow book that I have never registered in. How did they get this data in that yellow book? It's just because when electoral commission usually comes out to update their registers, there is somebody, and you also saw it, you're a journalist, you know this information, it was aired everywhere, that there was somebody usually there seated with the yellow book registering the people. It means that whoever went to update his details, they are captured in the yellow book. Don't get
I've heard
shocked
of
that
that
Edgar
scenarios.
Karanga is also in the yellow book. That's how you raise these numbers. You look at the exact people. If you want to do a head count on all those numbers that you're talking about, those millions, you will not find them. They are nowhere. So if you have 18, you said how many? 18 million voters.
Yes.
How many voters do we have as a country in Uganda? So do you want to say that other political parties don't have voters or members? It's logic. It's logic. That you want to bring in the numbers so that it can be able to enable you cheat the next coming elections.
Okay, but
because
okay.
Abamba
If he's going to cheat,
omusajja bw'aba yatugamba nti alina miliyoni 18 kati afunye miliyoni 5 kituufu yandibanga
opposition yetegese etya because opposition gyetwogerako ssebo abasingira ddala n'okubeera ab'amaanyi tebabalina naba flag bearers mu constituencies ezimu.
Me, I don't speak for political
No, but
parties.
okay, if you are a political scholar and someone who studies politics in this country,
Yes.
how best is the opposition going to compete against NRM with such a trajectory that we're seeing today?
You see, for you to be enabled and to be a credible competitor, you must have studied the dynamics, for example, as they unfold each and every other day. We concluded elections. What was the result like? How did it look like? 2, what other things transpired in an election that time? Like you go back and reconsider the history of how things unfolded and say this is how they happened. Now, 2026, which now new strategies do we bring on board to mitigate the other issues? Voter bribery, it was rampant. Then there was, we also had ghost voters, obviously. How do you now
even
vandalization, even vandalization of property, violation of human rights, intimidation at all levels, death of people and all that. Those all happened. Now, the question should be now how do we mitigate all these other issues so that we avoid them being repeated in 2026. And I believe that most of the political parties that have followed and watched, they have had and conducted internal structure buildings.
Do you see any strategy? I am not seeing any strategy.
I have not participated in them directly to be able to tell you.
No,
but I have had them, I have seen them organize at the party level, okay, in different areas actually, including doing countrywide tours. That's one of the reasons, that's one of the strategies I believe that they are making, if they are actually doing what they are supposed to be doing in those drives, okay. 2, that I believe that this time most of them have started to strategize area ahead. Not like they did, because you remember the 2021 elections, we had COVID. So people had no opportunity, had no much time to go to the people, to speak to them directly to understand. But when all that happens and people start planning area, then it's better for the country. You see, to develop democracy, you must develop yourself as an individual and also believe in what you're trying to develop.
Yes.
Which I believe they have done. Okay? But if you hear different political parties and their messages, their strategies, you believe that there is something that we are looking
do we need
out for
political parties today? One would say PFF is now coming aboard. They are registering it, so there is a failure or hiccup there and then. What has NUP, FDC failed that PFF is going to do better or different? My question is, when you are fighting someone who has been in power for 40 years, is this the best modus operandi of actually taking or changing power? Organizing in political parties?
Organization at all levels with good intentions is very important. It's very important. Because remember, we are not working or dealing in a normal setup of politics.
Yes.
No, it's not normal.
But this looks normal. PFF, NUP, FDC looks normal.
It's not normal.
This looks like democracy. All your political parties and that is
it's not normal.
All your MPs,
you see, political parties are used as drivers. Okay? They are used as organization strategizing bodies. That there are people who will want to associate with certain political parties because of their own reason, maybe because of what it believes in,
yes,
maybe because of who leads or heads that political party.
Yes.
That this person without that political party would have lost them into the wilderness. But because they believe in Edgar who heads a certain political party, or because they believe in an ideology brought by a political party, we shall win them to also come and participate in elective politics and also be vibrant and make a contribution. That we cannot deal away with political parties. I believe that they might have not lived to the standard as we expect them to be. Okay? But at least we are not where we used to be when we had no political parties at play in this country.
Okay.
The situation was
one would say movement system maybe was better because people stood on merit to say, I am Counsel Kato Tumusiime. But
even now in political parties,
it has become more of an antagonism.
Even now,
and you Peter Yagala wa NRM, you've even seen yellow color, you don't wear it. You know those sentiments. It has brought about a death, a rivalry to the death.
Yeah,
politics,
it has.
Winner takes it all.
It has, but because it all starts maybe with your personality as an individual. So what do you lose when you put on a yellow card? I am putting on green. Am I BP? I am not.
No, but I'm
just
saying,
because I like the card, I am saying it. I am seeing yellow in the background here. Are you NRM? you get it. All starts with your personality and maybe growth in the political setup. Okay. How best can you handle this kind of a situation? But I believe that political parties should have, actually they need to do more than what they are doing. That when we finish elections, now we have to go back on the drawing board and understand if we presented these candidates, where did they fail us? Okay? If we had rushed maybe to choose candidates in different areas, how best do we handle it now? Because most of the people we sent maybe did not deliver to our expectations. How do we change it now? Now start now.
The interesting bit is that every parliament you're changing these people. I'm telling you, every parliament 75% of that parliament does not come back.
We shall keep changing until we get the quality that will deserve the country, the people that will make a contribution that is visible.
Lastly, I want to bring in this that was mentioned by a lawyer such as yourself, that is Counsel Nicholas Opio. He says that in this country, a neurosurgeon, a politician, is paid more than a neurosurgeon.
And that's true.
And it opened my mind. A neurosurgeon, you see, that is one of the most important people in a country. And it also reminds me of the professors, how the professors or people who have credibility have actually been disqualified. Museveni asekirira nnyo ba professionals in his statements. Yaba asekirira nnyo ba professional bamwambala matai. And generally, and lastly, it brings me to a point of the PhDs. These days we have some people who are getting PhDs without any thesis, without any dissertation, without any research.
I've seen a number of them writing, smiling, and they are now doctor. But it is annoying that a politician earns more than a professional. Because when you look at the qualifications of the members of parliament, for example, senior 6A level, and the law does not even say that you must have passed. Okay? As long as you got your certificate, whether with an O, and that's it. But earns more than a medical doctor, like you said. Earns more than even most of these people that have qualifications. It is sad to that level. And nobody is saying no or questioning it. Do you know why? Because they don't allow these parliamentarians to sit whatever they sit and decide and make letters add and enhance the salaries of the science teachers and ignore the arts teachers. Even when most of these people in parliament are arts teachers. But the challenge we have got is that people forget where they came from. That even the doctors cannot now advocate for the rights and the pay rise, the minimum wage for the fellow doctors, but now they are concentrating because they are taking a bigger pay at the end of it all.
Yes, sir.
That another DC who basically does nothing in my district earns more than a teacher.
Yes.
Earns more than a medical doctor in the same district where they serve in. And these are the people that we believe that they have a contribution to make to this country, even more than the politicians. I believe that if we have systems in board, we can even live without politicians as MPs, like I said. Let us make it voluntary. That's my prayer still.
President of America, afune mitwala na omwaka. Anaga dollar. The president of the United States, in a year he makes $400,000.
Yes. Yes.
Ningamba kati ono president zino sente abana bazifuna mudachika bili wano mu Uganda. Here you find a technocrat in some ministry ngeno deal with him.
Yeah, it's a deal, and that's what makes it worth. That looking at the serving capacities and positions, we must make some of these positions voluntary. That you go to parliament to make legislations to represent your people without any expectations. President Museveni agenda zuka kumachako wakasimuke milioni 10 ochitwali. Nti omwezi nga gugwako ojja kuba weewadde ssente bwezitinedda jangu ng'ebiruubirirwa byo byakuganyirwamu eggwanga byakuganyirwa to help this country develop and be at some point. That we create this society for the children of our children and ourselves.
Yes,
because kati abasinga ekisinga okunyiiza kiri kimu. Most of these people that are deciding for our country are even way much older. And they have nothing to lose in this country. They are only looking at when they shall live and die and live the rest of this country.
They have children and grandchildren.
No, some of them actually have prepared their children. Some have taken them even everywhere, not in this country, because they feel that this country has been messed up by everybody.
I get you, Counsel Kato. As we conclude, where does the country go? And you're giving us your parting shots, sir.
Yeah, as you see, we are nearing election period, but I believe that this must be a lesson on the people that you sent to represent you in the last elections. Did they serve to your expectations? If no, then why not change now? Did the 2,000 that was given you, the bar of salt, the kilo of sugar, change anything in your life? Have you benefited in the 5 years this person has represented you in parliament? If the answer is yes, re-elect them. If the answer is no, we need to reflect into our hearts and make people that have feelings, people that have conscience, people that believe in the good cause, people that have something to contribute to this country, and people that want to protect this country for me, for you, and for our children. May God bless you.
Thank you, Counsel. It was a privilege having you on the show. And of course, to our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in from the time we started up to now. My name is Edgar Matthew Karanga. I'll see you again tomorrow at exactly 8 a.m. We're always here having a conversation with Uganda. From the entire team, God bless you. Good morning, Uganda.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.